The story of Seven follows two homicide detectives drawn into the twisted mind of a serial killer who orchestrates his murders around the 7 deadly sins. Brad Pitt plays Detective David Mills, young, impulsive, and eager to make a difference. He's partnered with the seasoned and cynical detective William Somerset, played by Morgan Freeman, who's just days from retirement. Together, they navigate a bleak, rain-soaked cityscape, uncovering a series of gruesome crime scenes, each one more horrifying than the last. The climax of this film is a devastating twist that redefined what thrillers could be, leaving audiences stunned and cementing Seven as one of the boldest crime dramas of its era. Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman share a natural, fluent chemistry with each other. Their contrasting personalities allow them to clash, connect, and slowly develop a bond rooted in mutual respect for each other. It's this evolving relationship that grounds the film emotionally, so by the time the climax hits, their connection feels earned and genuine, which makes the final moments all the more devastating. This isn't just another random bad guy murder mystery. Instead, it portrays this drastic event as an indictment of the modern world. The killer isn't killing people at random. He sees himself as some sort of weird divine instrument, punishing people who represent the 7 deadly sins. After the nightmare of studio interference on his first film, Fincher was disillusioned, convinced he'd never direct another movie unless he had full control, but then he read Seven, which was written by Andrew Kevin Walker.
Fincher was and is incredibly collaborative. He's one of the people who considers, I always say if he had the patience, he could just write it himself.
The script was bleak, unapologetically grim, and deeply philosophical. The kind of story that didn't just entertain, but disturbed. Initially, the studio wanted to soften the script, sending Fincher a different version of the film, a version that didn't include the infamous box ending. However, when Fincher found out the original version had the gut punch finale, he fought hard to keep it in, and Brad Pitt also backed him up, threatening to walk if it was changed. Together, they forced the studio to keep the script intact, the way Andrew had originally written the story.
I got to where John Doe gives himself up, and I'm holding the script, so I know most of the movie is gone, but there's still a good portion left, and the killer is walking into the police precinct to give himself up, and I thought, hold on, and I put myself in the position of the audience thinking, when that happens, if I'm sitting in a theater, I'm going to be extremely discomforted.
What makes Seven even more incredible is what it chooses not to show. The murders are never seen as they happen. The real horror is left to your imagination. Fincher forces you to fill in the gaps as the detectives describe each scene in detached detail, which only heightens the dread. It's not just what you see, it's what you can't stop imagining. Seven was made on a relatively modest budget of $33 million, especially modest considering the film's ambition and eventual cultural impact. Most of the money went into creating its gritty, rain-soaked atmosphere, stylized lighting, and meticulously designed crime scenes. The film wasn't effects-heavy, but it was detail-heavy, with Fincher obsessing over every frame to build tension without relying on cheap scares or spectacle. At the box office, Seven became a surprise hit. Despite being R-rated, relentlessly dark, and emotionally punishing, Seven became a massive hit. It grossed over $327 million worldwide, with more than $100 million coming from the US alone, and the rest from a strong international run. It outperformed expectations and went on to become one of the most profitable psychological thrillers of the 90s, earning nearly 10 times its budget. Seven currently holds an 84% critic rating. Even though some early reviews were uneasy with the film's darkness, most critics came to see Seven as a landmark in the crime thriller genre, a film that refused to offer clean answers or easy catharsis. Seven is a really great movie, a rare classic I would personally recommend to anyone. Today it's widely considered one of the greatest thrillers ever made, and the film that truly launched Fincher's legendary career. It gave Fincher more than just industry respect, it gave him freedom. No longer the new director with something to prove, he now had the clout to pursue stories on his terms, and his next project would reflect that completely. If you enjoyed this clip, you can watch the full breakdown on our main channel, or keep the binge going with the next clip.